below zero. It's a dry cold.
Yeah, that's right. It's like in the summer. It's all about the humidity. Yeah. And I will alert people that I'm over in Amsterdam. There it was fine. As I got about halfway, it started to snow a little bit. So if you're going to travel, if you got some shopping plans for today or whatever, keep that in mind. A little snow and the roads were accumulating a little bit as I came in. But again, just keep that in mind as you're driving over the next few hours. This morning, we're going to look at this afternoon's races. I'm going to take a look at Turf Paradise. Mike is going to take a look at Parks. And Mike had just pulled up the Parks Twitter feed. I talked about this yesterday. It has been brutal for them, but nothing alerting us today. So maybe they'll get off the mark today. But you look at the last 5 tweets on the Parks Twitter feed. Live racing for Monday canceled. Live racing for Sunday canceled. Due to impending weather, live racing Saturday is canceled. Due to impending snow, canceled last Tuesday, canceled last Monday as well. The last 5 tweets, all cancellations. It has been rough for Parks.
And you always hear some guy talking who's discouraged because they're closed. There's always some guy who won't go out and dig his driveway is 8 feet long, who's saying, well, why can't they get out there and ride today? So it's always a guy like that.
Yeah, and you hear on the internet the complaints, and you can understand somebody who handicaps the night before has done all the work, and believe me, I can relate because we've all over the past 5 days, Mormino, Jarbo, myself, have handicapped Parks and had to throw it out the window. So you put in the work, but it's a safety issue. I mean, this time of year when tracks freezing and thawing and snowing, and so it's a safety issue for the jockeys. And the fact of the matter is, in this day and age, it's just so easy to find other product to play and enjoy in the afternoon. I made a quick shift yesterday over to Beulah about mid-show and actually had a fairly decent day. 3 out of 8 with winners on top, a couple of cold exactas if you boxed up some triples in there as well. So again, you can shift your focus if it's that time of year. Certainly in the Northeast, we'll see some cancellations over the winter, but you just have to understand that typically it's a safety issue. Sometimes it's not only a safety issue for the jockeys. Some of these tracks, I know management looks out and sees bad weather or icy weather and just wants to keep the patrons safe. Stay off the roads. Don't bother to come in. But again, in this day and age, you fire up capitalotvbet.com, and there you have all the day's tracks available via the internet in the warmth and comfort of your living room. So bad weather, you can, as I say, shift your attention a little bit, if necessary.
That's right. You can say it's always 68 degrees in your living room, even when they're freezing at Parks.
Yeah, so, and that's also the nice part about this time of year. We can shift our attention to those wintertime tracks, which give us those envy looks down at Florida or New Orleans. Fairgrounds is off and running. Tampa, Gulfstream. And it's kind of fun to watch those, and the grass racing continues. I like the grass racing, the 2-year-old races. I talked over the past couple of days about some nice races down at Gulfstream over the past couple of days that will give us some horses to watch going forward. And of course, out in California, we had the nice Hollywood Futurity over the weekend, and Mike, I just did want to pulled up the Watchmaker Watch. Mike Watchmaker in the Daily Racing Forum every week does his divisional ratings. And I just did want to mention that in the 2-year-old category, he moved Shared Belief up to number 1 from number 8 previously, but that performance over the weekend was just so impressive. 3 for 3 now, Shared Belief. And I've said it over the past day. I said it yesterday a few times. I think Shared Belief now throws his hat in the ring for a potential Eclipse Award, just because the horses that won the horses in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile New Year's Day. Havana is certainly impressive from Todd Pletcher, but finishing behind New Year's Day in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, hard to pull the trigger for him. Last week I was kind of on Honor Code's boat thinking best horse, and if voters maybe went in that direction, Honor Code was interesting to me, but the win, of course, in the Remsen A was a grade 2, and B, it was just a quirky race. So Honor Code, I thought I would have tilted in that direction. I thought, though, he'd be up against it, I think, because a lot of voters give so much weight to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. But now on that same best horse kind of criteria, I think Shared Belief may attract some attention, and that's now the direction I would shift in if I was a voter. I'd go for Shared Belief, because I think the 3 for 3, which includes now a nice grade 1 in the Futuri over the weekend, all impressive. 106 buyer on the weekend, Shared Belief. And again, seeing Mike Watchmaker put this horse at the top of the list, I will be interested to see where the Eclipse voters go. I think, as I say, so many of them shut down after the Breeders' Cup. I still think it's going to tilt towards New Year's Day, but at least this makes it interesting.
I'll tell you, that was a strange Remsen, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I loved Gary West's description in his column on ESPN, where he described it as a slow pace, much like a turf race, or a sermon. He put it very well. Yeah, it was a very funny race, and it just left a lot of people thinking, I'm not really sure what we learned from that. But I gave Honor Coach some credit because he was running against his style, being up on the pace, the nice comeback in the stretch. But again, we'll see when the votes are tallied up in the Eclipse categories. All right, let's shift our attention to the handicapping portion of the program. As noted, Mike will be taking a look at parks a little later on. We'll keep our fingers crossed because it has been about the middle of the show over the past week or so that we've heard the cancellation notes, but we'll hope they get off and running today. I'm going to take a look, though, first at Turf Paradise for this afternoon.
Okay, in the first race at Turf Paradise, we have an allowance race, non-winners of 2 lifetime for 3-year-olds and up, which have never won 2 races, going a marathon distance of 870 yards.
And I have it 5, 2, 3, and 4, and this is, one of. I mean, they run some quarter horse races down there over the weekend. They ran a little stakes race for mixed breeds, and this is one of those kind of quirky races down there. So for me, it's a little bit of a handicapping puzzle. I don't have a lot of thoughts here other than I put the number 5, Just Perfect Miracle, on top. Comes off of a nice race at the distance last time. Just missed running second. It was a conditional claimer, however. And if you look down, look at the number 2, the horse I have in the second spot, Barbecue Style. This horse ran better in this 4,700 allowance condition than in the 6,250 last time. So as I say, this is a little bit of a puzzle. It's a different type of a race than I'll normally handicap. So how do the conditions in the class translate? I'm hoping that 6,250 at least is kind of comparable, and finding a little line maybe through that Barbecue Style gives me that confidence. So I'll put Just Perfect Miracle on top. Then I will use Barbecue Style again. At this class level, 2-back ran very well. Moving into 6,250 last time was a little bit of a dud, but has shown a comfort level at this class before. So we'll throw that one in as well. And then I'm going to go to the number 3, Lady La Jolla, who was in a little stakes race last time, ran 5th. Prior to that, was running very well in these allowance conditions, so I think the move back to allowance should wake that one back up again. So in the opener at Turf Paradise, 5, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay, moving on to the second at Turf Paradise, we have a optional claimer for maidens. You don't see that condition in New York that I know of. Going about 7.5 furlongs on the turf, and for an $11,500 purse.
I have it 4, 6, 5, and 1. The number 4 is a Blunderstone. 7 to 5 on the morning line. Excuse me, and it's not going to shock me at all if this horse drifts down, perhaps significantly, because I just don't know how often you see Owen Hardy and Darley show up at Turf Paradise. So they ship in off a couple of starts earlier in the career at Santa Anita and Hollywood Park. Again, these are very, very potent connections. I think they're just shopping for a softer spot for this horse. And on the venue class relief from those potent connections, I'm going to put Blunderstone on top. But I think it's going to be Master of the Obvious, as I say, 7 to 5 on the morning line. And I think this horse on those connections. You know, the bettors are savvy. On a Tuesday, it's not only the folks out at Turf Paradise. There are folks from all around the country that are playing into these pools. And they're going to see that just the way I do, Owen Hardy and Darley. I think this horse will float down. Second spot, the number 6, Lady Courser, 12 to 1 on the morning line. This is another horse that invades from Southern California, like my top pick, but off a little bit of a layoff. Comes back from the middle of October. So 2-month layoff since the career debut. The career debut was an absolute dud, but it was a field of 11. This horse went off at only 7 to 1 and had a little trouble, came off slowly at the start, and then just never got into the race. So I think now, again, finding some class relief, the move from maiden claimer at Santa Anita to maiden claimer at Turf Paradise might provide a little bit of a surprise wake-up for this one. 12 to 1 on the morning line. This one I'll be interested to see what the betting public does, because the career debut was really a dud. There was an excuse, however, and again, I think horses coming in from Southern California typically will attract attention at the track, but the first start, again, was a dud, so we'll see. I have a feeling that 12-1 will go down, but only a little bit, because I think that first start is just going to darken the form enough. Do also note, though, that last workout at Santa Anita was pretty good. So I think Lady Courser will be competitive in here. And then the number 5, George's Peach. 3 starts so far, nice improving form, particularly when this horse moved over to the turf. Do note that this is a 2-year-old filly, but faced the boys 2 starts back. Ran a decent 4th that day in a field of 9. Last time out, moved back in against the girls in a similar condition, ran a good 2nd. So George's Peach is going to be alive in here as well. I'm going to do a little 4-horse exacta box in here, play of the day. And it may be one where you want to take a look at the board and look at the probable pays. I'm going to do 4, 6, 5, and 1. And as I say, I think my 4 is going to float down. That's going to kill the value. But that 12-1 on Lady Courser, 4-1 on George's Peach, 9-2 on Mystery Tour, the horse I have in 4th. If something crazy happens, we may get a decent exacta with Blunderstone if that one falters a little bit. I think that's going to be live, though. So maybe it's a little box, and then maybe key Blunderstone over the next 3. As I say, take a look at the probables and just decide what makes sense. But I think this could be an interesting race to play into if you look up at the board and some of these morning line odds hold up. So again, we'll do a 4-horse exacta box, but jigger it up and see what makes maybe a little more sense to pull some value out of this race. 4, 6, 5, and 1.
Okay, moving on to the 3rd race at Turf Paradise. We have fillies and mares going a flat mile for a $3,200 tag and a $6,300 purse. Seth?
1, 8, 7, and 3. The number 1 is Gamblin' Miss. Just gets some of that venue class relief, like the horses coming in from Southern California, except this one a little further north, Northern California. Last couple of races were up at Golden Gate. I think the Golden Gate to Turf Paradise move can provide a wake-up and, again, some venue class relief. So the number 1, Gamblin' Miss on top. We'll go out to number 8, Driven by Seattle. Won for this price last time out. Had been racing against better in the prior starts. So seems to have found the comfort zone at the 3,200 level. And I always like horses, I've said it before. If they're coming out of a win in a very similar race, why not go right back to them next time out? And this one is coming out of that kind of a situation. Then the number 7, Cinnamon Halo. Nosed by my second selection in here, Driven by Seattle. Nosed by that one last time out. If I like Driven by Seattle, gotta like Cinnamon Halo. So in the 3rd race today at Turf Paradise, 1, 8, 7, and 3.
Moving on to the 4th at Turf Paradise, we have claimers, $3,000, non-winners of 2 with a time condition of 6 months, going for $6,000 purse, 5.5 furlongs.
4, 5, 2, and 1. The number 4 is Air Joe. Beaten favorite last time, but I think should rebound on the drop. This horse, excuse me, was in a starter 10,002 back, ran a good 2nd, was in a 3,000 calendar condition 2 back, a 1 calendar condition, won that. This is the 3,002. So this was really the logical step off of that nice win 3 starts back. But they got a little ambitious, paid off in the starter 2 starts back, but then last time out at 7 to 5 favorite. Couldn't get it done in an $8,000 race. So again, moves down to what is probably the proper level. I think is in some pretty good form right now. I'm going to draw a line through that last one. That just looks like an aberration in the wrong direction. I don't think the form is going bad. I think the company was just a little too tough. So Air Joe, the number 4 on top. 2nd spot, the number 5, Face Your Fear. Just been close at this level in the last couple of starts. 2 starts back, just missed after holding the lead through much of the race. Last time out, ran a completely opposite style, sitting back, mid-pack, and then making a nice closing effort to just miss. Again, both of those were since moving down to this 3,000 calendar level. This is a horse that seems to be in some good form right now and has found the comfort zone at the 3,000 calendar condition. And then the number 2, Keeping No Secrets. It's kind of a Chico Marx kind of a horse name. Keeping No Secrets. Solid win in the 1 calendar condition last time, and has some high early speed. I expect this horse to be out there on the front end and hold that as long as possible. If this horse runs back to that win last time, could prove very, very tough to catch in the stretch, and at the 6-1 morning line odds, could offer some nice value in this race as well. In the 4th at Turf Paradise, 4, 5, 2 and 1.
Okay, moving on to the 5th at Turf Paradise, we have a starter allowance, $9,700 going a mile and 16th on the turf.
7, 3, 1, and 8. The number 7 is OK Indy. Was second in a $12,000 starter last time. Goes for the $9,000 start today. So finds a little bit of class relief perhaps, and seems to be in some pretty good form. Close up fourth place finish, 3 starts back, a win, 2 starts back in an open 10,000. The starter 12 again last time, a second. So some good form, a little bit of class relief. OK Indy on top for me. Second spot, the number 3 African Gray, just behind my top pick last time. Not just behind finishing position wise, but was actually about length and a half behind. So African Gray gets the line through my top pick, OK Indy, and off the last start fits with this bunch. And then the number 1 Mark. This is a horse that has been off since August, was racing up at Hastings, facing some stakes company up in Canada most recently. Those were back in midsummer though, July and early to mid-August. Won on the turf, however, when last seen at Turf Paradise. That was back in March. Did it with a buyer figure that fits very well with this field. So the question mark here is going to be fitness. But you look at the December 7th workout, nice 126 going 7 furlongs. Prior to that, a 6 furlong workout towards the end of November. So it looks like they're putting some decent fitness into the horse. I would expect this horse, again, the question mark is going to be fitness. But I would expect off those works this horse to be ready. And as I say, when last seen on the grass here at Turf Paradise, ran very, very well. So I think Mark will be in the mix also. In the 5th at Turf Paradise, 7, 3, 1, and 8.
That brings us to our first break. We'll be back in a few minutes with more of Handicappers Report right after this.
I'm Seth Merrill. Join me weekdays at 10 for Racing Across America. We'll look at important races from around the country, get insight from top handicappers and analysts, and preview the upcoming week in racing. That's Racing Across America, weekdays at 10, right here on the OTB TV network.
Here in upstate New York, no one provides bettors with more wagering options than Capital OTB. Our network of branch and easy bet locations stretches from the mid-Hudson Valley all the way to the Canadian border and west to central New York. So whether you need to place a bet, fund your Capital Bets account, or watch the next big race, all the action is just around the corner. A full list of our branch and easy bet locations can be found online at capitalotb.com. Capital OTB, the better and most convenient choice for wagering in upstate New York.
I got it. Watch me. I got it. Hey! I got something that makes me want to shout. I got something that tells me what it's all about. I got a move that tells me what to do. If you don't, brothers and sisters, then you won't know what it's all about.
Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, and amazing Vegas-style atmosphere. The Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Handicappers Report. I'm Mike Jarbo of the Times-Union. I'm here with Seth Merrow of Equidaily. And we're talking about racing today, and this is Turf Paradise. We're up to the sixth race. We're going 6.5 furlongs, $6,200 claimers for a purse of $7,000. Seth, save me.
I have it, well, we'll see how well I do as well. I have it 4, 1, 7, and 6. The number 4, Mojave Secret. This one found appropriate class relief at Emerald. Was at Golden Gate earlier in the career. then moved up to Emerald Downs and seemed to get the wake-up call on the move, although Golden Gate was racing okay, but hadn't broken the maiden at Golden Gate. Got up to Emerald Downs, finally broke through and broke the maiden at a maiden 55, or a maiden 5,000, excuse me. Last time out was in a 4,000 non-winners at 2. Now moves down to Turf Paradise, 6,250 non-winners at 2. Just missed last time at that 4,000. I think, this horse was claimed by Jeff Metz, pretty good trainer down there at Turf Paradise, has a decent percentage. First off the claim, he's okay. He's made the move down to Turf Paradise, fired a bullet workout on December 7th in prep for this. So I think the class move to Emerald, again, was the wake-up call for this horse. I think Turf Paradise may be even a little additional class relief, so moves up claiming-wise, but I think it's almost a lateral move, maybe even will find some relief. But I think Mojave Secret is going to be right in the comfort zone with this bunch. Put that one on top to number 4. Number 1, I Feel Free. Another horse that seems to have found its comfort zone at this track, had been racing out at Santa Anita earlier this year, then was at Lone Star for a couple of races in May, took off the summer, came back in November for a couple of starts on the move to Turf Paradise, a second, and then a nice win last time at a 5,000 maiden. So maybe the light bulb was turned on. And again, you add that into has found a comfort zone down here with the Turf Paradise competition. I think I Feel Free is going to be competitive with this bunch. And then in the third spot, the number 7, Disaster Peak, heads back to dirt, had a turf experiment last time. It was okay. It was a 5th in a field of 10, so split the field. That was at a 12-5 non-winners at 2. Moves back to dirt, where I think this horse is a little bit better and gets some class relief. Scott Stevens on board. All adds up to say Disaster Peak will be in the mix as well. In the 6th, the Turf Paradise, 4, 1, 7, and 6.
Okay, moving on to the 7th at Turf Paradise. We have fillies and mares going for 16-3 allowance purse. Non-winners at 3 lifetime, going about a mile on the turf.
1, 7, 8, and 6. The number 1 is Crazy Papaya, who comes in from Southern California. This horse has been racing most recently at Hollywood. Prior to that, was seen at Del Mar for a few starts, and then back Hollywood earlier in the summer. But it just gets to what I've talked about a couple times already on the show, some venue class relief. The trainer has some decent numbers, limited starters, but I would imagine some of those are some of these horses coming in from Southern California. So they're limited starters, but the trainer does pretty well, and I think will do well again with Crazy Papaya coming in, as I say, from Southern California, getting that venue class relief. Second spot, the number 7, See You at Sunup. Just a horse that's in some pretty good form right now. Last 3 starts have been on the Turf Paradise turf. Last couple of starts, second place finishes, and if you look over the last 3 buyer numbers, progressing nicely. Start 3 back to 2 back to last time out. So with the numbers moving in the right direction, a couple of second place finishes, I think this is a horse that's in some pretty good form right now and should be competitive with this bunch. And then the number 8, Reclusive, who goes out for the very same trainer that my top pick does, making this horse the longer half of the uncoupled entry. Always an interesting angle, always a little bit of a potent angle. Nice buyer figure last time when this horse finally got to the turf. So, nice buyer figure in a finishing position, won last time. So this horse may just have found a home on the grass, seems to be in some pretty good form. And again, that sneaky other half, the longer priced half of the uncoupled entry. 7th race at Turf Paradise this afternoon, 1, 7, 8, and 6.
Okay, the 8th at Turf Paradise, we have maiden, fillies, and mares going 5.5 furlongs.
I have it 6, 8, 3, and 2. The number 6 is Shamefully Sinful. Beaten favorite on the move from Southern California. Made 4 starts early in the career. The debut, a maiden claimer for $30,000 at Santa Anita, was okay. Nice second place finish. Then moved over to Hollywood and Del Mar. Really didn't show much there. Those are all synthetic tracks, though, so maybe this horse just appreciates the dirt. Then took the end of the summer off, came back in the middle of November, a nice second place finish in a maiden 5 here on the move to Turf Paradise. So again, I think this horse, dirt, the move to Turf Paradise for a little bit of class relief, it all adds up, but I think the last start got this horse a little education over this track, should move forward in the second start. Shamefully Sinful on top. Second spot, Yuma Landing. This horse is kind of interesting. 8 career starts so far, still a maiden, obviously, but did cross the finish line first last time, was subsequently disqualified for boring out in the stretch, but essentially this is a winner amongst maidens, having crossed the finish line first last time prior to the DQ. So that's the interest there. Again, you have a horse facing others that have not gotten it done so far. This horse has, but the stewards took it away, so there's interest there on that angle. Then in the third spot, I will go with the fresh face in here, one of the fresh faces, number 3, Shoeless Jackson, 10-1 on the morning line. Take a look at this horse. Now, the trainer's stats are a little too light. I debated about putting this horse on top, but the trainer, only 23 starters so far this year. So, you know, it's a limited sample, but only a couple of wins. So I couldn't pull a trigger on the trainer. The jockey's a little bit light percentage-wise. So the connection scared me away a little bit. But in a field of horses that have had plenty of opportunities, you can do worse than take a fresh face that has maybe a little bit to hang your hat on. This one had a sibling called a Choco Salmon that was 8th in its career debut, but then followed that up with a second place finish and won in its 3rd career start. So I think on the bottom side, you know, if they can win in the first 2 or 3 starts, I find that to be enough to label the horse precocious. So sibling was a little bit precocious. Also, that sibling, a Choco Salmon, in 13 career starts, has now run into the exacta 8 times. Most of those up at Portland and Emerald Downs. So Shoeless Jackson has a sibling that class-wise is running probably in similar company and doing very well. Another sibling called Starry Storm. In 6 career starts so far, no wins, but 3 second-place finishes, and one of those was in the career debut. So again, on the bottom side, I think there's some precociousness that I find a little bit interesting. The connections were just low enough percentage that I couldn't quite pull the trigger to move this one up. But again, in the 8th at Turf Paradise, in a field of long-time maidens, the fresh face, Shoeless Jackson, is kind of interesting. I have it 6, 8, 3, and 2.
Okay, moving on to the 9th at Turf Paradise. We're going about a mile in the turf. Males 3-year-olds and up, going for a 62.50 tag.
6, 7, 10, and 12. The number 6 is Give a Junior Mint. And this is one of those, I talked about it earlier, a horse who has won virtually the same race last time out. Why not right back? And this horse was in virtually the same race last time, about a mile on the turf for a plain vanilla 6,250 tag. Won that race. Why not right back? We'll put the number 6 on top. Second spot, Pestero gets a class drop and could prove to be very, very dangerous on that class drop. The 12-1 morning line looks super generous to me, but this was in an optional 30 last time. Prior to that, for a 10 tag. Prior to that, an allowance. One of those was a win, the 10,000. So I think moving back in for the tag today, getting that class relief. And we'll see if that 12-1 holds up. If it does, as I say, this one becomes very interesting. Third spot, number 10, Fox in the House. Just a horse that seems to fit right at this class level and should be competitive. In the 4th spot, and I will say, if there is a scratch and the number 12 makes it in off the AE list, take an extra look at that horse as well. I'm going to do a 4-horse exacta box in here. It may get scratched down to a 3-horse box if the 12 doesn't make it in off the AE list. But I'm going to box up my top 4. Hope Pestero with that 12-1 holds up. I'm not sure it will, but if so, could be an interesting play with an exacta 6, 7, 10, and 12.
Okay, in the finale at Turf Paradise, we have a $3,000 claimers who are going non-winners of 2 in the last 6 months. They'll be going 6.5 furlongs.
12, 10, 8, and 4. We'll go to the outside, the number 12, Finding Paradise on top. I'm wondering if this horse maybe has a little bit of a class edge on this bunch. It's hard to say that at this level, but lots of these guys in here, if you look, have gone through the 3,001 calendar condition. This is a 2 calendar condition. They've gone, but a lot of these have gone through that 1 calendar condition just recently, within the past race or 2. This one, on the other hand, drops in from a 5,000 claimer over the past 3 races. So again, I think there might be some nice class relief in here. Similar situation with the number 10, Clear to Canada. This one has been an 8,016, 12.5 in the last 3 races. So again, some class relief as compared to a lot of the others in here. Then the number 8, Swiss ski, claimed last time from a similar race and moves into a high percentage barn, should be a player in here. I'm going to do another 4-horse exacta box in here. This one's maybe a little bit dicier with my horses, the horses I like on the outside, but at 6.5, I think they'll have plenty of backstretch to find some position. So I'm going to box up my 4 in here: 12, 10, 8, and 4.
Okay, that'll wrap it up from Turf Paradise with Seth.
And we're going to come back after the break, and we're going to take a look at Parks. And again, seems like Parks is on finally after plenty of scratches. But we'll be right back right after this.
This is Steve Beck. Join me Tuesday through Saturday here on OTB TV for At the Races, my Sirius XM daily news magazine of the thoroughbred industry. Handicapping, interviews, analysis, everything you could want. 6 a.m. OTB TV.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Each morning on the OTB TV network, you get the very best in horse racing programming. Weekdays begin with the Handicappers Report, where professional handicappers share their selections and analysis of the day's racing. Followed by Racing Across America, a daily conversation with racing personalities from around the country. Saturdays include Down the Stretch, where Mark Casano speaks with the biggest names in racing. And Sunday mornings, it's Loose on the Lead, where Steve Bick and I offer news and a unique lineup of weekly guests. All here on the OTB TV network.
Wagering at CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Capital Bet TV, the fastest and easiest online wagering experience where you can monitor 5 different tracks simultaneously. 2. Capital Bet Express. Its straightforward program layout and interactive handicapping information lets you build your wager quickly and efficiently. And 3. Capital Bet Pro, designed especially for the professional horse player. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Missed one of our TV shows? No worries. Now you can catch all your favorite programs online. Simply log on to CapitalOTB.com and click on the YouTube link at the bottom of the homepage. And look for our new podcast coming soon. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report on this Tuesday morning. Seth Merrill and Mike Jarbo. I just took a look at Turf Paradise. Now we will shift our attention to Parks. And good news, everybody. Yes, I pulled up the latest from the Parks Twitter feed. All systems are go for racing today. Yeah. We will have live racing today, Tuesday, December 17th, via the Parks Twitter feed. So finally back off and running at Parks after a very, very tough week.
So they're not going to cancel my 9 winners today.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out. We'll see if we can put the 9 today together. All right, the opener at Parks this afternoon, 7,500 calendar condition claimer. These are 3-year-olds and up, going 7 furlongs.
9-7-1 in this race. My first pick is Tomcat Alley, who takes a small class rise after a nice win last out, going away, going the same distance at 7 furlongs. Got bet heavily in that one too. And if you look two back, also this horse ran a really good one with a different rider. Was eased out and got caught in some traffic and stalled. But next out, got a going away win. I think this horse can handle the class rise. So we're going with Tomcat Alley on top. In the second spot, Just Chillin' Boss, who ran identical splits in the last 2 races, and funny, had a totally different outcome. It stumbled at the start, the 2 races back, and finished 6th, but last out had a good getaway and finally ran down the pace setter late in the game. And this horse has never been this distance, so that's my one concern, is that this is stretching out a furlong and a half more than it's used to doing. And in the third spot, we'll go to the 1, Cover Price on the inside, who had a good race in a muddy track last out, finished length and 3/4 beaten, hanging late, but has a half-decent record of runner-up finishes in the at this distance, and has an excellent wet track mark. having won 4 of 12 on wet tracks. So 9-7-1 in the first at Parks.
Race 2 at Parks this afternoon, conditional claimer 10.5 to 12,500. It's a calendar condition, 3-year-olds and up, 3/4 of a mile.
6, 4, and 2 for me in this. My selection is One Sock Down, who has a pretty good turn of speed and has been on the lead in its last 2 races and won both of them by more than 2 lengths. Has won 3 races at the distance out of 7 tries, 3 wins out of 5 at Parks, and has a terrific wet track Tomlinson, and I'm guessing you're going to have a wet track there today, of 4:22, and moves up a little bit in class, but ran a pretty good time last out, and I think we're going to see a good effort out of this one. In second spot, I have Giant's Tomb, who moves up to 12,500 claimers from 7,500 level. Also showed good speed last out, and has won a whopping $127,000 at this racetrack, winning 8 of 13, and has won 2 of 2 at the distance, and so obviously likes it here. In the third spot, we're going to True Heaven, the 2, who got hung out wide in the last effort and wound up finishing not that far behind a repeater in Mystical Terp. Also has a good record at the course, and in this one's last race, they came home pretty fast and sort of spit the bit late, but I think we might get more out of this one today. So in the second at Parks, 6, 4, 2.
Third race at Parks this afternoon, it's a maiden special weight event. These are 2-year-old fillies. They'll travel 6.5.
4-1-8 in this one, and boy, do I love this, the Stuart Elliott horse in here, Stormy Novel, who sold at Keeneland for 2 times Bernardini's stud fee, and Bernardini has a great wet track record, and plus is really a pretty good sire, I think. This horse sold for $300,000, and first race showed pretty good speed, but backed up late, got caught up in a pretty quick pace. Second out, got caught in a duel and wound up backing up late, got beat 4.5 lengths. But I think with that experience under her belt, I think she's going to put in a really strong effort today. In the second spot, we're going to move to the inside with Tiffany, another one who sold well. This one sold at Keeneland for $335,000 in the September sale, and this one sold for 5 times Unbridled Song's stud fee. So somebody saw something in this one too. Got bet to 3-1 in the first start and got caught between horses, and didn't really do much after that. My one concern with this one is had a pretty good work before that race, but shows it work on December 13th at a glacial 52 seconds breezing. So I'm a little concerned about that slow work, but who knows. In the third spot, we have Winning Saga, the 8, who picks up blinkers. This one's from Tail of the Cat, out of a Bird on the Wire mare. This one would figure to have speed with that breeding, and was off slow in the last start, and also gets in light with 5-pound bug. Blinkers on today, 4-1-8 in the third at Parks.
Fourth race at Parks this afternoon, it is a conditional claiming event. The tags are $7,500. The condition, non-winners of 4 a lifetime. 3-year-olds and up, they'll go a mile.
8-2-4 in this race, and I'm going to use a term that I've heard Rich Perloff use, who's a handicapper on TVG. He talks about archaeology in the racing form and in past performances. And I'm going back about 6-7 starts ago when this one got caught in a very slow pace in an off-the-turf event, and made up a lot of ground, and wound up only being beaten 3 1/4. You have to go back to July for that one, but that was the last start this one had on a sloppy track. So I'm looking to maybe see a good performance again from this one on a wet track, and also has won 2 races on a wet track. So we're going with this one. MJ Plus, the 8, is my first selection. My second selection is Hornbuckle, who, boy, if you look at the last one, that was a real stinker. Gave way readily as the comment line, and this horse got beaten 54 lengths, but this one has a 4:58 Tomlinson for the wet, has one race in a wet track and won it, and that was an excellent effort. And the trainer's going well, and so I'm going to put that one second. In the fourth spot, we have College Bound, the 4, who ran forwardly in the last race at even money and at a moderate pace, and managed to finish second by a neck. And I think this one can put in a pretty good effort today. 8, 2, and 4 in the fourth at Parks.
Fifth race this afternoon at Parks. It is another maiden special weight event. These are fillies and mares 3, 4, and 5 years old, going 6 furlongs.
1, 8, and 2 for me in this race. We're going to the inside for Diamond Dazzle for the first spot. This one is 7-2 in the morning line, and in this one, in her first race, she showed pretty good speed and finally wound up giving it up late off a 22-4 first quarter. This one's by Indian Charlie, who's one of my favorite sires. And also, once again, to go to that all-important Tomlinson number on the wet track, 423. And also finished ahead of at least one of the other horses in this race in that effort. So we'll put Diamond Dazzle on top. In the second spot, we'll go to Biscotti Girl, who I believe was one of my selections in one of the canceled races last week. This one gets first-time Lasix and finished 4 lengths behind my top selection in her debut. And this one's moving up in class, and I think she can handle the rise based on that first effort, which was not as bad as it might look being beaten 11. And my third selection is Mademoiselle de Pompadour, who also was carded to run last week, who got away badly in her debut and was bet hard in that race at 4-1 and got away a little slow and then had some traffic trouble. This one is going to be pretty heavily bet, but it's coming off a layoff from September. And I think I'd like to see a race from this one before I would put her on top. So 1, 8, and 2 in the fifth at Parks.
All right, we will head to our break. When we come back, we'll finish up a look at Parks for this afternoon. Stay tuned. The Handicappers Report continues.
I'm Steve Beck.
And I'm Seth Merrill.
Together, we're loose on the lead on Capital OTB, Sundays at 10 a.m. Why should they watch, Seth?
Sit down on Sunday, have a bagel, get some great racing conversation.
Cream cheese only, no jelly. Sundays, 10 a.m., loose on the lead, Capital OTB.
Using CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Simply log on with your username and password from the homepage. 2. Fund your Capital OTB account through our Easy Money, Green Dot, or Visa MasterCard options. And 3. Place your bet on one of our 3 easy-to-navigate wagering platforms, Capital Bet TV, Capital Bet Express, or Capital Bet Pro. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Here in upstate New York, no one provides bettors with more wagering options than Capital OTB. Our network of ranch and easy bet locations stretches from the mid-Hudson Valley all the way to the Canadian border and west to central New York. So whether you need to place a bet, fund your Capital Bets account, or watch the next big race, all the action is just around the corner. A full list of our branch and easy bet locations can be found online at CapitalOTB.com. Capital OTB, the better and most convenient choice for wagering in upstate New York.
I got it. Watch me. I got it. Hey! I got something that makes me want to shout. I got something that tells me what it's all about. I got a move that tells me what to do. If you don't, brothers and sisters, then you won't know what it's all about.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTB television network.
Continuing now our look at Parks for this afternoon. Race 6, conditional claimer 14 to 16 tags, 3-year-olds and up, 6 furlongs to trip.
1A, 5, and 4 are my selections in this race. The 1A is Sweet Study, who attended a pretty pretty pedestrian pace going in the mud at 5.5 furlongs last out. Closed late and got beaten only a neck at 13-1. And this was versus 10,000 claimers. Moves up to 16 today. But I think this one can handle the rise. So my top selection is going to be 1E, Sweet Stud E. In the second spot, I'm putting Cheops, I guess named after the pyramid, this is interesting looking at these past performances with this one. Took forever and a day to break his maiden at ridiculously short odds almost every time, and then got moved into a non-winners of one allowance condition and went off at 45-1 and finished 9.5 back. But this one showed a really good late foot in breaking the maiden at 9-5 in March, and I think maybe that race, that allowance race, might have this one ready for this greatly reduced level. And the third spot, we're going with PA Thunder, who was claimed in October and has sat out in, I guess, the jail period, and finished second to a next out winner, to a horse who repeated in the last start. I'm a little worried about the record at the distance 0-6, but still, I think we can get this one home underneath. So it's 1A, 5, and 4 in the 6th at Parks.
7th at Parks this afternoon. It's a starter allowance at the 16,000 level. These are 3-year-olds and up. 1 mile is the distance.
7, 5, and 3 for me in this one, and we're going with Turbin on top. And I remember Turbin was one of the horses I picked in last week's ill-fated Parks adventure. This one ran a good one last out and made up some ground into a moderate pace and wound up winning by a length, beating a couple of the horses that he's facing in here. The jockey and trainer combination has been going well. This horse has won 2 out of 3 races at Parks, and that it has run at Parks, and also finished third in the other effort, and was well clear last out, even though it only shows a length victory. But this one was pretty well under wraps while winning. So off that effort with a moderate pace, I'm going to put this one on top. In the second spot, I have Prohibition, who last out had a rough trip versus at going 7 furlongs and gets an extra panel here. But this one really closed well and wound up winning going away with a 5 3/4 length victory. And I think with a better trip, this one is going to be really tough. Also posted a 70 buyer, which is well below what Turbin ran last out. But I think this one's very dangerous, off an 8-1 morning line too. Third is I'm going to take True Compass third, who this one showed really good speed last time too, and finished a length behind my top pick and ahead of Magic Harbor, who is also running in this race. And Magic Harbor is likely to be one of the favorites, and I don't like this one at all. I think this one's going to be overbet, and we all know what happened when I said a horse was going to be overbet last week.
Go to the window?
Yeah, go to the window. So 2 back, had a decent race 2 back, also being bet to 8-5 in that one. And so we're going to go 7-5-3 in the 7th race at Parks.
Feature race today at Parks is going to be an allowance non-winners of one other than for 3-year-olds and up, traveling 6.5 furlongs.
8, 6, and 5 for me. Now here's my old buddy. We talked about this horse last week. Do Miss Me. It took me a while to figure out how to say this, but I kept trying to overthink it and saying it was Domisay, Demisay, whatever. But the horse's name is Do Miss Me, and was bet to 2-1 last out, and when switched to Frankie Pennington, had been ridden by other folks, but went to the Go Rider for this outfit and responded with a victory in 1-10-3, which I think if this horse repeats that effort, I think is going to be really hard to beat in here. Despite the 8-1 morning line, I don't think you're going to get that today. This horse has 2 wins at Parks. And if you look, the jockey trainer stats are pretty gaudy. He has 29% victories with a 2.45 ROI, and also they've done really well at this racetrack. So I'm going to take the 8, Do Miss Me on top. Underneath, let's go to the 6, Sue Them All, who's the 5-2 morning line favorite. And this one has been bet to favoritism in his last 3 starts. Made up some ground late in the last one into a slow pace. So I think if this one gets some speed in front of him, he could be really dangerous. And in the 3rd spot, we're going to the 5, English Manor, who wound up with being hung wide in the last start at 6-5 in this condition. And if you look back, this one also shows once again the archaeology business. Shows a pretty good race at 7 furlongs going 4 back, in which he got hung on a dead rail and still managed to only get beat by a length. So in the 8th at Parks, 8, 6, and 5.
The 9th and final today at Parks, and as noted earlier, if you missed, they did tweet out on their Parks Twitter feed, racing all systems go today for the first time in a while. 9th today is a conditional claimer, 7,500 tags, non-winners at 3 lifetime, going 6 furlongs.
3, 11, and 7 in this race. We're going to the 3 for the top spot, Nathan's mom, Becky, who last out ran against Miss Montauk, who would be about 1-50 in this field, and put in a decent effort. Got beaten 7 lengths, but got caught up in a speed duel in this one. And I don't think this one is going to face as much speed in here. So I think she could get loose on the lead and be gone. And the price might be half decent too. This is trained by Scott Lake, and you know Scott Lake is always dangerous with these runners in Philadelphia. So we'll take the 3 on top, Nathan's mom, Becky. And for the 2nd spot, we're going to go all the way to the outside, or 1 in from the outside, to Garage Kept, who should be a nuclear bomb price-wise. This one was rated last out after having a bad effort 2 back, trying to run on the lead. That just didn't work out. So it was rated last out and actually closed pretty darn well into a quick pace, but still didn't finish that far back after trying that rating tactic. So I think you're going to see the rider try to rate this one again, and the problem is that death post, the 11 hole in Philadelphia. That's a really, really hard place to win from, but she might be able to drop into the rail and get half decent position. And in the 3rd spot, Good to Be Wild, who's the 5-2, I believe, morning line favorite. This one got bet to 3-2 favoritism last out, and it's going for that 7,500 tag after racing versus a little better last time. Pretty good effort, finished 6, beaten 4.5. Didn't get enough pace in front of her, I guess, but if this one is another one who has showed speed in the past, and maybe the rider will send today, and that's Pablo Fregoso, who's does a pretty good job there at Philadelphia. So in the finale, 3, 11, and 7.
All right, speaking of jockeys, I noticed the number 6, Jackie Davis, on board. I wonder if she's shifting her tack to Parks for the winter
That's
time.
interesting.
Yeah, it would be kind of interesting to keep our eyes on her. All right, that'll wrap things up for the Handicappers Report. Don't forget, we handicap Parks and Turf Paradise there, but 2 of the tracks you can enjoy on the network this afternoon. Plenty of racing action. It kicks off, in fact, with Parks, moves on to Monticello, the Meadows, Beulah Park, Sunland Park, Turf Paradise, Western Fair, Dover, Northfield, and Yonkers Raceway. Don't forget also, if you didn't get our selections, go over to capitalotb.com. Click on the Handicappers Report link over on the right-hand side of the page. Get a nice printable report with the selections for today. So by all means, if you didn't get our picks, you can do that. CapitalOTBBet.com, the brand new state-of-the-art wagering platform. Also, the Bet 50, Get 50 promotion is on board. If you don't have a Capital Bets wagering account at this point, for new account holders, as you sign up, that Bet 50, Get 50 promotion goes in. Use CapitalOTBBet.com, Bet 50 into the races over the next few weeks. Capital OTB puts another $50 into your account, free money. Also, want to remind people, coming up this Sunday, right here at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. It's Hollywood Park winds up this weekend on Sunday. To commemorate that, we here at Capital will give the first 100 patrons through the door a commemorative DVD with the top 15 races all time from Hollywood Park. I am told that our colleague Anthony Mormino is the selector of those top 15, is a guy who was out in Southern California in his college years. He pays a lot of attention to Southern California racing, so I'm sure we have a very good selection of Hollywood Park races. Over the years, there have been some very good events out there. So again, the first 100 patrons through the door on Sunday, a commemorative DVD looking at the all-time top 15 races from Hollywood Park. All right, that wraps things up for Handicappers Report for this morning. Coming up next is Racing Across America. Stay tuned.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.